You're listening to a Listen Frederick podcast. Local podcasts, live radio. It's Listen Frederick.
And now, your host of Steeples and Peoples podcast to tell you about all things Frederick County, Maryland. Here's Mark and Terry Meriday.
Hey, you guys. In today's world, there is zero excuse for drinking and driving. Let's face it. Take the keys from a friend if you can. Call them an Uber, or better yet, listen to this episode of the Steeples and Peoples podcast and find out about a nonprofit organization that has your life in mind. Wayne Dorsey, founder of SOS Saferide, discusses with us the origins of his company and how they help those who have had a little too much fun on a weekend night in Frederick County. He discusses how the process works by not only giving you a ride, but getting your vehicle home as well. How you can be a volunteer is also included, or simply giving back in other ways to keep disaster from striking. Make the smart choice when you are out in the community and call SOS Saferide. You'll be very thankful in the AM. Protecting yourself while you're out having a few beverages and it's time to go home. Terry, you ever find yourself in that situation?
Yes, but we have teenage daughters who can pick us up.
They get a little frustrated though sometimes when we ask them to do that.
Yes, they do. So now we know we have another option.
Yeah, tell them about the option today.
So we're here today with Wayne Dorsey from SOS Saferide. Physically, we're in Co-work Frederick at 122 East Patrick. This is a really cool space. Co-working provides you with a space to do work when you don't have an office. And welcome, Wayne.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining the Steeples and Peoples podcast this week.
Well, appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
And you have your office here.
Yeah.
Right here. So that's nice you have this space. Can you share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your life before SOS Saferide?
Sure. So my name is Wayne Dorsey. I'm your freakishly tall founder and president of the Saferide Foundation of Frederick County. Basically, I am 32 years old, and I guess I'm a big tall guy with dreadlocks. But basically, I live here in Frederick County, or at least nearby in Smithsburg. And
Close enough now.
Close enough. Right about 20 minutes. And I grew up in Charlestown, also 20 minutes away in the other direction. And yeah, love Frederick and how altruistic it is. So here we are.
I know somebody who loves Charlestown.
I like Charlestown too. But we just went on a cruise, and I was in the casino a little bit every day.
You're all Charlestown out.
I told Mark, like, we go once a month, and I said I'm good for 6 months. So it's fun until it isn't. What is SOS Saferide? And you are the founder. Can you tell us just about the program?
Sure. So I always have to make a clear distinction for people. So the name of our organization is the Saferide Foundation of Frederick County.
Okay.
It's the name of our nonprofit. And then our flagship program, the thing that we're known for, is SOS Saferide.
Oh, okay.
Basically what it is, it's a mobile app / designated driving service here in Frederick County that will drive you and your vehicle home when you have too much to drink. So the way it works is that basically, let's say you go out to the bar and you wanted to have 2 drinks and you had like 11. Basically, 2 of us show up with, and one of us will drive your car. Other person follows behind in our car. We get back to your house and give you back the keys and leave, and that's it. So
that's really neat. And I think I read from probably on your webpage, that the biggest reason people drive home when they are kind of feeling that they should after they've had alcohol is because they need their car the next day.
At least that's the biggest reason that people try to cite, because there are no good excuses for drinking and driving.
No, of course not.
But having said that, whenever somebody tries to come up with something that they feel like would be, acceptable, that's always what they default to. That. And that's whether it's alcohol or if it's anything else, any type of impairment. So
yeah, especially now that using marijuana is legal.
Yeah.
Recreationally. So have a couple gummies.
I wonder if we'll see an uptick in traffic accidents and things.
Sure.
There's a lot
I would think there would be some sort of fallout. to a certain degree. What's the mission? What's your mission statement?
Sure. So we are basically what we aim to do is to eliminate excuses for drinking and driving. As I said, there are already no excuses, but we try to make it so that you can't even think of one. Right. So we cover safe driving in all realms, but what we're trying to do is, I guess, eradicate drunk driving in Frederick County, and by any means necessary. And we try to tackle that from every angle. So.
Was there a reason that you started this? Did you have any personal experience with knowing somebody who had an issue, or did you just see the problem?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. People in nonprofit world, it's like I think people have this. They usually default to this like gut wrenching story, right? So I don't have a compelling story for you guys.
That's okay.
But I will tell you. So I always share with people that when I was in college, I went to West Virginia University, big party school. I was an athlete. I was in a frat, and I was surrounded by people that did really dumb things all the time. Right. Now, I've never had a DUI. I've never had a family member that passed away in a tragic accident. I very luckily don't have that story. But because of my background's in computer engineering, and I had an idea for the app, I thought, you know what, that could impact the community, that could save lives, and on top of that, that'd be a really cool job. So now it's 7 or 8 years later, and now it is my job. So that's the story.
Triple jump, high jump, or running?
Basketball and rowing.
Oh, yeah, you played basketball?
You're way off. He played basketball. How tall? Not that you have to be tall to play basketball, but how tall are you? You always say you're freakishly tall, or tall as in every bio I've read about you. How tall are you?
6'7".
6'7".
Ladies.
When I met you, I looked way up to you and thought, yes, he is tall.
So did you play for Huggins?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
That's another
He
story.
needed SOS Saferide, didn't he? Anyway. How the Impact Grant help you get this really rolling?
Tell us what the Impact Group is in Frederick.
Sure. So the Impact Club, is here in Frederick County. Shout out to Eric Verdi from Impact Realty. Basically, it's a national organization that is that's I guess nationwide, but Frederick, believe it or not, has the biggest one. Right, we have almost 400 members.
Wow.
The way it works is that they I'm giving them a shameless plug, but I mean they
deserve it, man. They definitely deserve it.
But they the way it works is anyone in Frederick, any who's who in Frederick, could go and basically pay $100 a quarter to basically be part of this program. And every quarter, they invite 3 nonprofits to basically give their spiel. They get a 5-minute time slot to basically just share what they do and how they do it. And then at the end, they just right there on the spot vote for who had the best presentation. And then also right then and there, they give the nonprofit everybody's membership fee for that quarter. Wow. So again, Frederick has almost 400 members. So that's like $40,000 that you just get, to
help a nonprofit. Yeah. Can you reapply?
Yeah, so
probably.
The way that I understand it is, we won back in 2019, and about 3 years into the organization, and then basically at the time I think there were 300 members, so we got about $30,000. Yeah, and then the way it works is every sixth meeting is when you can apply again. So about 18 months or so.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that really must have been a boost for you, though.
For sure.
Like a nice shot in the arm right there, especially it's like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So it was 4 years ago and 4 years into the organization. So I guess the way to put it is, when I think about the top 5 moments of the organization, that's definitely one of them. I mean, not even just from a funding standpoint, because 2019, the year we won, was actually like our best year, to put it simply. And it all came to a head in November when we won that. And I don't know, I guess I can't thank them enough, because I mean, this is just a real big testament to how altruistic that Frederick is. So yeah, can't thank them enough.
Yeah, we'd agree with you 100%, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So walk me through the process. I'm out. I had more than I thought to drink. When are you open, or when is it available? And what is the process? What do I need to do as someone who realizes they can't drive home?
Yeah. So basically, we are open from Thursday through Saturday, from about 8 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning. We open a little later on Thursdays, but regardless. Having said that, though, if you're at the bar, like I said, you're getting ready to go home, you can either download our app or call us. Most people call because they have questions. Sure. But like I said, we show up within about 15 minutes or so. And then we get in your car and we drive you home. That's really it. We serve the entire county. So Thurmont to Mount Airy, Brunswick to Adamstown, we'll serve the entire county, doesn't matter. and then the way that it's priced. So our average ride's about $20, but we consider ourselves a lot like a nonprofit hospital where, let's say you go to the hospital and, your leg is broken. There is a fee. We expect you to pay. They want you to pay, but if you can't pay, you're still getting your leg fixed. So that's how it works.
How many do you normally serve on just kind of on average? Sure. And you have a busier season. About how many a weekend, say Thursday, Friday, Saturday on a typical?
We average around 60, 70 rides a weekend.
Oh, wow.
A Friday or Saturday night, if it's really busy, probably 20, 30 rides, something like that.
How many drivers or how many people working with you are available usually?
On a nightly basis, probably about, probably 6 or 7, cars, right? Which is 14 people. And then basically on a holiday weekend, like for example, Halloween, St. Patrick's Day, night before Thanksgiving, and New Year's Eve, which is our big 4.
Certainly, yeah.
We probably do about 80 rides on those nights. So, yeah.
And how many have you served to date?
16,000.
16,000. Probably accidents prevented.
Yeah.
This really is a great.
Yeah, even if it's just half of those or a quarter of those people. I mean, that's huge. So I call you up on a Saturday night. I'm drinking. I say, hey, Wayne. Well, probably not Wayne. I might not know your name, but I'm saying, hey, I need to have my car tomorrow, but I know it's not a good idea. What do you do from there? And are you the person they talk to, or is there somebody else that mans the phones and says,
sometimes it's me, sometimes it's our manager, James or Mike. Shout out to them. But yeah, it literally is just right there on the phone. We say, okay, what kind of car do you drive? Is it automatic or stick? Where are you going? Cool, we'll be there in 15 minutes. And that's it. People have this misconception that that because we're a nonprofit that we're something we're not. So they assume that, that must mean because they're a nonprofit that it's going to take an hour and a half for me to get a ride and they're going to show up with Bibles and tell me why I shouldn't. It's no, of course not.
That's a big question.
You can use it just like Uber, right? Or like a Lyft or something like that. So either call us or use the app and we can use, and it's completely on demand.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. On any given Saturday night, how many volunteers do you have to make that move to go and drive somebody?
Yeah, so for about 6 or 7 cars, so 14 people, something like that.
Okay, so 2 people to a car, one person jumps in the other car, takes the person, the other person jumps in their car, they drive, follow, boom, that's it.
So the big issue is that we were talking earlier about kind of the big excuse for people who might get in a car that they didn't know that they had too much. Was that they need their car the next day. I mean, do people kind of tell your drivers what the reason? Do they try to keep making excuses for kind of using your service?
Yeah, I'm glad you. I've never been asked that before, but I'm glad you asked because this is something that's been very strange because sometimes people that use this frequently, right? We do have regulars, right? And sometimes what happens is they say sometimes I feel kind of embarrassed using you guys. I'm like, well, why? And I think it literally goes back to that whole thing about us being a nonprofit. It's we're a completely judgment-free zone. You'd be surprised how many people that volunteer with us that maybe back in the day had a DUI once upon a time, and they want to give back, and they say, look, that's behind me, but I want to make sure that no one ever makes that mistake again.
Well, there surely is no shame in making this call.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can firmly tell you there's been times when we know we're going somewhere that we know we're going to have a drink or 2 or 3, and we take an Uber there and we either car.
Yeah, we know certain things we're going to drink more, like Oktoberfest or something.
Sure.
Yeah. Saferide Plus, tell us about that.
Sure. So we have Saferide has its own version of Amazon Prime, right? So basically what it is, we call it Saferide Plus, and the way it works is that if you donate $39 a month through us or more, we have a couple different membership levels, but the gist of it is that you get all your rides half off, and then you get some rewards as well for basically supporting our anti-drunk driving mission, and it's really cool. We have. We only need about 100 members to make the program self-sustainable.
Oh, nice!
And it's really cool. I mean, it's our way of letting people not only support us but also get rewarded for it as well.
So we can use the service, like you said, but we can also just donate to your program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So of course, good.
So everybody has, in your position with it being a nonprofit, some sort of board. What type of board do you have? What's their responsibilities in helping support your nonprofit?
Also a great question. So our board, we have 5, I guess I would just call them rock stars and superheroes.
Yeah, sure.
So we have, they say, the standard board you would have for any nonprofit, right? So there's myself, who I'm the ED, and I just, or executive director, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And basically, I do all the big stuff, right? I do all like the networking and the grant writing and things like that. And then we have our director of fundraising, director of advocacy, fancy word for marketing, director of volunteering, and then also director of programs, right? So, these different departments are the types of things that, the people on the board take care of. So, yeah.
Nice. And being a nonprofit and just having your heart of gold that I know you have, you do have an angel fund, or can you tell us a little bit about how you give back even more to our community?
Appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So we, to put it very simple, we can't catch everybody, right?
Sure.
Can't save everybody. So in the unlikely but not impossible event that someone loses their life because of drunk driving or is affected by drunk driving in some way, we have the Saferide Foundation Angel Fund that will provide funeral costs and support to families that are in what is usually a really difficult time of their lives. Mm-hmm. So since the program started, we've now given over $25,000 here in Frederick County to families that have been affected by drunk driving. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you one story in particular. So back in 2019, there was a young man named Xander Denny, right? 23 years old. He went out to downtown with his girlfriend at the time, and then also one of his best friends. So at the end of the night, what happened was the friend says, "Hey, let's go home. I'll drive." Clearly he had a few, but he was like, "I'll be the designated driver." Mm-hmm. We all know where this is going, right? So they drive, and then they actually crash off of Ballinger Creek. I think they were going about 160 or something like that. Now that was 3 years ago. A year later, so Xander had passed away from his injuries, right? His girlfriend Jess was still in the hospital for a year. Want to take a wild guess what happened to the driver? Yeah, he's fine. Yep, he's fine.
No.
That's how it goes. That's how it always goes, right? Right. So it was, because of that incident is a lot of the reason as to why we started the Angel Fund, because they came to us and basically said, with you guys being the only nonprofit working to stop drunk driving, is there any support that you guys can give? And at the time, the answer was no. So we actually went to the community and did a fundraiser and raised our first funding for the Angel Fund, and it's since grown to what it is now. So.
Have any other counties, or are you working with anybody to expand this program in places outside of Frederick County?
The short answer is not yet, right? So when I think about the expansion plan, it usually takes the form of expanding the nonprofit itself, right? I would obviously love to have it in every adjacent county and everywhere.
Every county in the country.
I'd love to have that, right? Yeah. So one of these days, yes, but I guess to put it simply, that's not how it looks yet. So.
Yes. And you're always trying to raise money. Do you kind of have any annual fundraising, more like events, or do you have anything coming up?
Yeah, so we have our big fundraiser of the year, which is a big comedy fundraiser at the Weinberg Center.
Oh, nice!
And it is called, wait for it, the Over the Limit Comedy Fest.
Nice.
Good name. So, little known fact about me, I actually do stand-up comedy. And so what we usually do is we bring in a Netflix comedian that has either had a recent special or whatever.
Nice.
And we have them be the headliner.
Wow.
I usually host, and then there is a huge comedy scene here in Frederick County.
Yes.
And we have a lot of Frederick comedians round out the cast.
Yeah, we've been.
You're joking, are you? No. Yeah, that was.
When is that usually, or do you know that?
Usually it's in the springtime.
Spring.
We haven't scheduled it yet though. So.
Letting them sort of shake out everything that they've got going on, and then you get yourself in there. I remember seeing it advertised last year.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, I definitely do. She loves comedy. I mean, I like comedy too, but she likes.
We just went on a cruise, and the comedians were great because we went on another cruise. I've just got into this cruise thing. I'm obsessed. In the fall, we went on a cruise, and the comedians were awful. People were walking out. So I'm glad
they were just a little.
We have some. Yeah. They were really. But I'm glad we have really great comedians around here.
If I want to be a volunteer, how do I apply, and what are my requirements?
Okay, love the way you phrase that. So we have 90 volunteers here at Saferide, right? We don't usually have 90 going out every single night, but 90 active, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So to volunteer with us, you can go to our website, and if you cannot find the sign up form, I promise you it will find you. You'll know what I mean when you get there. But you can go to sossaferide.org/volunteer. And basically, as far as the requirements, you need a valid driver's license, you need to be 21 years or older, and you need to have a smile. So
Nice.
as far as like the training and stuff like that, we have a pretty not extensive, but we have a pretty involved training program to make sure that everybody like is on the same page and that we're living up to the name Saferide. And I would honestly argue that here in Frederick County, we have probably the most fun volunteering opportunity, because I would also argue that of the nonprofits in Frederick County, we have the funnest audience, right? Which makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're always clowning them.
Well, I said to Mark, we should volunteer like once a month or something. So is that kind of what you get with your pool? People that work once a month, or couple weekends, or you must distribute it, or do we say like when we're available?
Yeah, it's when you're
So to
available.
speak.
The average person does 1 or 2 times a month, and then we have some weekend warriors that go every single weekend. But
Wow.
and
So we use our own car.
yes,
Right. Good. So that's good.
Partnerships, sponsors, who are you involved with? Somebody like Mad or Sad, do you work with them?
We work with MAD, not in a financial way necessarily.
Yeah.
I think that's a misconception that they give away grants, but as far as MAD, what we do mostly is that I guess the way I put this is they send us a lot of volunteers actually. So what happens with MAD is that they and Mothers Against Drunk Driving, that's what the acronym is, by the way. So they do a lot of like advocacy and legislative work when it comes to drunk driving prevention.
Yeah.
And they work with a lot of DUI offenders throughout their DUI process. And what they do is they usually send them to us, like, after their case and stuff, and basically say, okay, we're going to help you guys during this part of your process, and they're going to help you after. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that we deal with that. So. Yeah.
Well, that's good. You have a huge network right there in and of itself. How about other partnerships or sponsors that you have in the local Frederick community?
Well, in local Frederick community, one of our biggest ones is actually Co-work Frederick, where we're sitting right now.
Where we are.
Yeah, Glenn and Julia have been. I always call them my work parents because they're great. And then our biggest sponsor is Budweiser, actually.
Nice. Yeah, I could see that.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we've been in a lot of situations where we've been with like with friends or out, and we know that they shouldn't. Are you okay? Kind of someone says, and we sort like I don't know what to do. Like I can't make them not drive. So I think this is a great service that friends can do for each other. And I think everybody right now should just put the number in their phone and have it available. But if I don't, where do I see, I'll tell you where I've seen them, but where can I find out about you, get that number kind of last minute, on Facebook, and where I've seen you. I remember Bellis's has it, and I've seen it several places. The posters that you do have in the bars and restaurants.
Okay, so I'll just tell the number here on the podcast. So
Yes.
the number to call is 240-722-7422. That's their number if you want to get a ride. And then as far as the app is SOS Saferide, available on the App Store and Google Play. And then,
I downloaded it, by the way.
And then
Good to have.
So there's that, and then you'll find that if anything else, our biggest way of advertising is the posters in the bathroom, right?
Sorry, that's just
Which
where I
makes
see
sense.
them.
It's the quietest part of the bar. You have nothing else to do in there but read.
And if you've been drinking a lot, you're
Interesting
in the
that
bathroom.
you say that. I was getting something to eat and having a drink at Shuck and Shack the other day. And it was right after we had firmed everything up with you. And there I am using the restroom, and I look up, and there's your poster.
Yeah.
So that's smart.
Prime real estate. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Washing our hands.
How about social
we see
media
it.
handles? What do you got? Where are you guys at with that?
At SOS Saferide for everything.
Everything.
And we're very active on the old socials, so it's good.
You have a TikTok? I know you seem like you'd have a TikTok.
Believe it or not, we don't have a TikTok.
All right, you got to start it now because your personality and your experience with social media.
Appreciate that.
Nice. Any other questions, Mark?
No.
I think we've covered everything.
We did. We covered a lot, and what we didn't cover, Wayne was kind enough to kind of dip into his knowledge and make sure he covered it.
He knows.
And you guys are kind enough to ask, so I appreciate that.
I think it's a great service that everybody needs to know about. You never know. Like I said, I don't know how many. I really can think of a lot of situations where we have been out or at someone's house and someone that we know should not have driven.
Here's something interesting. Have you ever contacted, like there's a gala going on or something like that? Have you worked with anybody from that perspective?
Yeah. So galas, Oktoberfest.
I think Oktoberfest. Yeah, that was surprising to me at what I did. I didn't realize we are very social drinkers. So something like that, it certainly was. We had our daughter pick her up, but
you're right though.
we're social drinkers. So we're good.
Yeah.
Well, mentioned though, so you mentioned galas, Oktoberfest, Alive at 5, we're there every weekend, weddings, all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
yeah, that makes sense. Perfect sense. And do people contact you and say, "Hey, Wayne, can you get some people over here in advance?" Or
normally what we do is actually, this is a good segue. So one of our other programs that we do is called we call it the Pump Your Brakes booth. Everyone just calls it the breathalyzer booth. But basically what it is we set up at those events like Oktoberfest, for example, and we have a big tent, with all the logos and stuff, and people can just come up at the event and get a free breathalyzer test.
Oh.
So it's a great way of saying, "Hey, young lady, you're 5'2", $110. You're gonna feel a little weird after 2 drinks. Let's test it out."
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a great way for us to also say, "Hey, we have this service here in town if you need a ride."
I think do you have them for sale?
Yeah.
Breathalyzers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to have. It was only like $40, I think.
Yeah.
That's definitely worth
save your life.
if you're questioning it.
And
I think it would be good to have, like, for all these friends that I've, just like over the years, it's not regular people
Good party gift.
that we would, exactly.
Okay, before you leave all of this.
Yeah. Sorry, you can't leave. Well, thank you, Wayne. I'm so glad that we came. I knew you would be awesome.
This was very enlightening, and it was very interesting to me, and I can't wait to get the message out to everybody.
Appreciate it. Can I say some call to actions before
Absolutely.
So 4 things I always tell people. There's 4 ways you can support us mainly. One, you can spread the word, right?
Yes.
If you're not a big drinker, just make sure that your friends that are drinkers know that we exist. The second way is to use the service if you are a drinker, right? Third, volunteer if you can on the weekends. We'd love to have you, and we're a really fun bunch. And the last thing is, if you can, either donate or join Saferide Plus, and basically it's a great way for you to support our anti-drunk driving mission here in Frederick County.
Nice. There's no shame.
Yeah. And we love
No shame in the game.
No shame in that game.
We do love Frederick. So.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Wayne has one thing in mind and one thing only with his nonprofit, and you got to give him a tip of the cap for that. Thanks to him for sitting down and talking with us and sharing all his information about SOS Saferide. Their website is sossaferide.org. You can find them at 122 East Patrick Street in Frederick, and their phone number is 240-722-7422. You can email them at info@sossaferide.org. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram at SOS Saferide. Their hours of operation: rides 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday, and their office is open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Follow, connect with us here on the Steeples and Peoples podcast by checking out our website, steeplesandpeoples.com, where we have pictures, all our episodes, and you can even buy some Steeples and Peoples podcast merch and help support us. We'd love for you to do that and love to see you around town with it on. You can even send us a picture. We'd love that. Like our Facebook page, Steeples & Peoples. Join our conversation on Twitter. Reach out to us on Snapchat at Steeples Peoples. You can also follow us on Instagram, watch those TikToks, and view our episodes now on YouTube. All that is Steeples and Peoples. Feel free to let us know if you have any comments, questions, suggestions for future guests, if you need some support for something you have going on, by emailing us at steeplesandpeoples@gmail.com. Thanks to Steve Medley for doing our voice intro and outro.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us to find out what's going on in all things Frederick County, Maryland. And join our Facebook group to enter our weekly giveaways at Steeples and Peoples.